Welcome back. We're now solving two-step and multi-step equations. Here we go. Let's get started. So we're going to do a couple of review things. We've done this, and I know you're good at it, but we're just going to do this really quickly. All right, remember, always, let me get my pen. Okay, we're always going to do SID, right? Simplify, isolate, divide. Do we have anything to simplify? Nope, we're good. So we're going to isolate. We're going to isolate by getting this variable all by itself. So we need to get rid of that -8 by adding 8, one side of the equation. Have to do it to the other side of the equation as well. So in fact, I get a b that is equal to 10. I'm going to put that 10 back in just to check. -8 plus 10. Is that 2? Indeed. We're good. Okay, moving on. Next day we worked on multiplication and division. How do we undo multiplication? Well, we divide, right? Okay. We divide. So I'm going to take my 7m and divide by 7. And I did it on one side. I'll do it on the other. So now my m equals 8. Plug that back in. 7 times 8. Does that equal 56? Sure does. We already did our check step. All right. Next, division. Well, if we undid multiplication by dividing, then undoing division must be multiplying. So I've got my m divided by 6 equals 12. Well, if I multiply by 6, so I'm multiplying this whole quantity by 6, then these are going to cross off and I get m equals, 72. All right, plug that back in. Is 72 divided by 6 equal to 12? Indeed it is. Okay. Next. See, we already did our check step. Good deal. All right, so now what happens if there's more than one operation? Well, we already know how that's going to work, right? Because the first thing we were going to do is simplify. And is there anything left to simplify? Nope, everything on this side is okay. Everything on this side's okay. So the next thing we're going to do is isolate. Well, I want to make sure that this x part is all by itself, so I'm going to have to get rid of this 5. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides of the equation, keep everything in balance. That leaves me with 2x equal to 6. And now finally we're getting to that d part, the divide. Divide by 2 on both sides of the equation so that x equals 3. Okay, what do we need to do next? I know I just heard you say check. Okay, so it's 2 times, we're replacing x with 3 plus 5 equals 11. Well, 6 plus 5 indeed equals 11. So we're good to go. Let's try that again. I'll go through one more with you and then you can stop the slide and do it on your own, or if you're ready, stop the slide now. So does it matter that I have my variable over on the right-hand side of the equation sign? Nope, not at all. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I'm going to simplify. Nothing left to do, but I do need to isolate. So I need to get rid of this 10 so that I have my variable with its coefficient, but the variable all by itself. So subtract 10, both sides. And I end up with 4a equals 8. Now I can do the d part of my SID and divide by 4 so that 2 equals a, or a equals 2. Okay, here's my check step. 18, does it equal 4 times? We're replacing a with 2 plus 10. So 18, in fact, does equal 8 plus 10, so I'm good to go on. Okay, decimals, we're totally fine with that. Try to pause the tape and come back and check your answer. Oops. Good time to pause. Okay. Here we are, and we're going to add 5.7, add 5.7. So that leaves us with 1.2y and 7.2. I now have a 1.2 with my y, so I need to divide, and that's going to go 6 times. So if I plug that back in, 1.5 equals 1.2. Oh, sorry, my y is 6 minus 5.7. So this part's going to be 7.2, and I'm going to subtract 5.7, and that's going to give me 1.5. Yay! Okay. Next one. Definitely you're on your own this time. So stop the video and figure this one out. Minus 2, both sides to isolate the variable. So I've got n over 7 equal to, 0. Is that going to be a problem? Nope, because if I multiply by 7 on both sides, what do I get? Those cross off. I should get n. And is 7 times 0 a problem? Nope, just still equals 0. So if I have 0, because that's what I'm replacing n with, over 7 plus 2, does that equal 2? Indeed, 0 plus 2 equals 2. All right, fractions. We don't like fractions, but it's okay. We can do this. Same drill. Subtract the 3/4. Subtract the 3/4 from both sides, but now you're going to have to call on some of those earlier fundamental skills on fractions. We've got a 2/3 r left over here, and now I'm taking 7/12 and I'm subtracting from it. I need a common denominator, right? So if I multiply this by 3, I multiplied this by 3, I'm going to be subtracting 9/12. Okay, so if I subtract 9/12, I end up with negative 2 over 12 equals 2/3 r. I could actually simplify at this point. I'm okay with just moving on. I'm going to, instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 2, multiply this by 3 over 2, and I get r equals negative 6 over 24. Am I done? No. That is also equal to negative 1/4. I'm going to count on you to do your check step. 2/3 times negative 1/4 is negative 2 over 12 plus 3/4 is 9 over 12. So are we going to get 7/12? Yes. All right. Okay, pause the tape, see what you got. Plus 1/2, plus 1/2. 2x over 5 equals 5.5. I'm going to rewrite 5.5 as an improper fraction, which gives me 11 halves. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 5 halves, 5 halves. This cancels. X equals 55 over 4. Is there anything I can do with that? Nope, it's simplified, so I'm okay. But I am going to plug it back in just to check. And I'm not going to go through every step with you, but I'm expecting you to check particularly on a quiz or on a test. That's how you're going to get full credit for your work. Okay? And this will indeed check. Okay, so another way of dealing with fractions, just to make it a little bit easier, we can multiply by the least common denominator. That's what LCD stands for, the least common denominator, to clear the fractions. So what's the least common denominator here? I've got a 4, a 2, and an 8. So 8 is going to be my least common denominator. So I'm going to multiply everything on this side by 8. And I'm going to multiply this side by 8 as well, and let's see what happens. So again, remember, I'm going to distribute that 8 to both parts of this. So 8 times 3 is 24 over 4u plus 8 times 1/2 or 8 halves equals 8 times 7/8 or 56 over 8. And now look what happens. This gets a lot cleaner because now I have 6u when I simplify that plus 4, 8 divided by 2, equals 56 divided by 8 or 7. Looks a lot prettier, right? So 6u plus 4 equals 7. Same process as before. Subtract 4 both sides. I have 3 equals 6u divided by 6 divided by 6. U equals 1/2. Okay, now here's where I really need you to do the check step. Since we did all this stuff where we changed our denominators by multiplying by the least common denominator, I want to make sure this definitely worked. So I'm going to plug this back in. 3/4 times 1/2 plus 1/2. Does that equal 7/8? Well, 3/8 plus 4/8 indeed equals 7/8. Okay? Now we finally have one where we have to simplify before we isolate. So here we're going to simplify by using the distributive property. -6. I've got a -2 and a -d, so that's plus 2d. Please make sure you remember that. Equals 4. Add 6 to both sides. I get 2d equals 10. Divide by 2. D equals 5. Plug it back in, see if that worked. -2 times 3 minus 5 equals 4. This part is -2, so -2 times -2 equals 4. Oh, yes, -2 times -2 does equal 4. Thank you very much. Okay, awesome. And here's one you can stop the video and try on your own. Okay, hopefully you didn't get tripped up. So I've got my 10y and I'm subtracting both the 4y and I'm subtracting the 1/8. It's kind of like distributing. This is really a -1 here, right? Because remember, if I'm subtracting, I'm really adding the opposite. Well, that opposite, that negative sign outside is really -1, and then I'm distributing that. So this is really 10y minus 4y minus 8 equals -20. Okay? So now I can combine, I can simplify by combining like terms. I have 6y minus 8 equals -20. I'm going to add 8 to both sides so that I have 6y equals -12. I'm going to divide by 6 both sides so that my y equals -2. And I know I've gone fast through this, so please make sure you understand. I'm distributing this negative sign throughout the parentheses, okay? And I end up with y equals -2. Of course, I'm going to go back and check. I'm going to put that -2 in next to my 10. That gives me -20 minus, and I'm putting in parentheses, -2, that's -8 plus 8. Does that equal -20? Well, that goes away, so -20 does equal -20. I'm done. All right, so there will be an online quiz that will be posted in a little later. Try to check back maybe sometime tomorrow for the online quiz, and I'll send you a Remind 101 about that. And also, I will send you a Remind 101 about doing some of the review on IXL to make sure we're good with these fractions and distributive property. That's it.